The very last one. Are you ready for this?
I'm not entirely sure. You know, this is gonna sound really asinine, but all this coming to an end, it's kind of bittersweet.
You know, you're right. It does sound totally asinine.
Yeah, I know.
But then again, some of the best things in life don't make any sense.
Not to mention some of the worst.
This is gonna be so bad.
An absolute nightmare. But you know what? It's been one exciting ride. The Swan Princess franchise returned with a Christmas special, and sporting a new paint job, in 2012. Apparently there was enough latent nostalgia for it to find success in the direct-to-DVD market, so we sit before you today reviewing, if you can believe it, the 5th installment, A Royal Family Tale.
If you followed our past reviews, you'll know that this franchise has a tendency for huge quality loss with each subsequent movie. Naturally, that sets the bar for this installment quite low. So without further ado, let's see if it's actually possible for them to limbo under the bar.
Well, if I know this franchise, it's the final movie, Go Big or Go Home. This is Swan Princess 5, A Royal Family Tale. To start, it's rated PG for mild peril. Based on prior experience, this is referring to the state of mind that the audience will be put in by watching this movie, not the content itself. But hey, look at that! The Nest logo finally got redesigned.
You're just stalling now, aren't you?
Would you be terribly surprised if I said yes?
Focus, boss. This is the last one. The actual film opens with expositional narration.
Long before the age of kings and queens, an evil force, the forbidden arts, came to Earth from the underworld through a magical crystal. The crystal was his earthly domain from which he gained his strength and power. To his horror, he discovered a legend which boded ill for the evil force.
In a coming day, there will be a Swan Princess presence. Pure evil will not survive. No!
I'm not really sure I like this objective distinction between good and evil. Lots of movies clearly define good and evil, but there's a gray area. Villains don't think they're evil. They believe they're pursuing a righteous goal or deserve what they desire and will fight hard to get it, which makes them much more interesting and three-dimensional characters.
The Forbidden Arts makes a plan to prevent its defeat that doesn't involve destroying Christmas, which the last movie said was the only thing more powerful.
He used his great powers to hide the truth and alter the appearance of the legend, hoping that any creatures who saw it would fear the Swan Princess.
Well, you can't really argue with that logic. I mean, history does show us that people form very strong belief systems based on carved rocks.
The paws of a curious scullion pulled it from obscurity.
I would hardly call a pile of mildly overgrown plants as pulling from obscurity.
I mean, imagine if I just reached over and took off Steven's glasses and said it was pulling him from obscurity.
Don't even think about it.
Sensing Lord Rothbart's dark soul, he drew the sorcerer to him and promised him power untold if he would destroy the Swan Princess.
Well, isn't that lovely? The first film in the series is the only one we can even attempt to hang our hats on. And now this movie has retroactively ruined it by doing the impossible, causing it to make even less sense than before.
Remember when we used to get a positive emotional reaction from hearing this song?
Yeah, good times.
We fade into Derek and Odette riding somewhere urgently.
Derek, don't you think...
It would appear that he, in fact, does not think.
4 years of speculation, finally confirmed.
Everything will be
Oh, Derek.
Oh, shoot. This is Uberta's castle, is she?
She's...
Oh my gosh. I mean, I knew she was old, but she just seemed so full of life. And now...
It's me.
This is the last thing I expected to be doing, and especially not so early, but I'm gonna have to give this movie some props for actually making me feel.
If I could just hold something warm, but smaller, about 8 pounds or so.
About the size of a baby.
Movie! Potential! Emotion!
Wasted! I never thought of it that way, but yes. I mean, yes.
When you let it set in for a minute, it actually is kind of funny.
No one wants children as much as Odette and me.
Then show me the baby.
I'm getting older too, you know. And I want another child to tutor before it's too late.
You're trying to drag Rogers down with you too?
Now that's over the line, movie. Next up, we have Jean-Bob adopting Uberta's fake death tactics in yet another attempt to get kissed.
I got like 10 minutes max. Now, I'm sure there are some maids and farmers' daughters that would like to say goodbye to me, so go find them if you don't mind.
Watson's disease.
What? He's got all the symptoms.
Slimy skin.
Bulging eyes.
No ears.
Being crappily animated. Honestly, are we really dedicating time to this subplot?
We'll probably just skip over most of it like we did in the last review.
Swell. Next, we cut to some flying squirrels setting up a roadblock. I don't see anything weird about that if you don't.
That's the best way to finish off the Swan Princess.
No traps.
One villain already tried that.
Sorry, I don't know where my mind went.
What is this movie's production process? It just keeps producing its own ammo. Derek and Odette help an injured citizen cut some wood.
I feel a little guilty.
Well, we could raise your taxes.
Huh?
Okay, movie, you get a point for that one.
That's not good. Get off!
The scene would have some good basic tension, except for the fact that jumping into the carriage should have exacerbated the problem and killed you both. Not that we'd complain about that.
We really have to stop meeting like this.
How far into this movie are we?
Like 13 minutes.
It's already too long.
We just got closer to finishing off the Swan Princess than any other master trap maker in Scullion history.
Scullion? I've never heard of that kind of squirrel before.
Me neither.
Was there honestly a copyright on flying squirrel that you couldn't afford? After Mangler, the evil leader of the Scullions, informs the Forbidden Arts, of their failure, the entity leaves its crystal to test its strength.
This goes about as well as facing Brock with Charmander as your starting Pokemon.
That's strange.
Oh yes, clearly, that is the most appropriate response to this situation.
Here, come with me. It's okay. Prince Derek is with your father.
And we know how well that scenario usually plays out.
Promise me you'll care for Elise. I promise.
It's okay.
Hold the phone for a second. Elisa's head should be by Odette's stomach, not her chest.
You're pointing out a continuity error in a moment like this?
Are you implying I should be emotionally invested in this scene?
Heck no! The fact that you're noticing continuity at all means that this movie is utterly failing to engage you on an emotional level, and your focus is drawn to something else. I would never take that apathy from you.
Thank you. I do cherish it so. The now weakened Forbidden Arts goes back on life support, a fitting metaphor for the state of this franchise, while Derek and Odette bring Elise back to the castle.
No! No! Father! Father!
As much as I don't want to, I actually have to give the movie some props here. The flashback is short and to the point, and it establishes good common ground between Odette and Elise's experiences. It's actually a really tender moment. I do wonder how they're going to screw it up.
A child in the castle again. Someone to teach.
Evening clothes, daytime clothes, mid-afternoon clothes. And what girl could survive without a Marry Me Leopold? Far longer than forever.
I'll ignore this technology leap because the last movie told us that Rogers is basically Da Vinci now. But this sentiment is hardly appropriate in the wake of an orphan's recent tragedy. Sorry your father's dead, kid, but at least you're giving our lives purpose again. I mean, I'm sure they will be there for her when she needs to cope emotionally with all the...
The girl is mine to spoil, Rogers.
No, she's mine to mold.
Oh my god, they're fighting over an orphan. This is the second movie in a row that this has happened.
She's all of ours. All of ours to help. She won't speak.
Today's the day for adventure. So many things to try. Play hide and seek in the castle. Explore the countryside. Oh, oh. Tell me what you're dreaming. Oh, oh. 'Cause I want to hear from you.
Forgive me, audience, I have to excuse myself. I must expel the anger from my body with violence.
You hanging in there okay, boss?
It's the last movie. We can get through this.
Back on topic. Speaking realistically, this constant encouragement for Elise to just be happy is not a good tactic to use so soon after her father's death. But at the very least, the characters want her to feel welcome, and we get indications that it is helping in some way. Moving on now.
This is the day that we've long awaited. This is the hour they foretold would come. Destiny calls as we stand united. We are prepared and we'll get the job done.
That shifted gears quickly. We went from the generic acoustic pop garbage to a Les Mis-style war chant that's rhythmic, slightly catchy, and establishes good atmosphere.
Hey, did you know she has snakes for eyeballs? I once heard that she's 10 feet tall. She never sleeps, only roams in darkness.
How did they pull that off?
More importantly, why has the crystal of the Forbidden Arts become a disc instead of an orb? If you're going to prolong your franchise unnecessarily, the least you can do is be consistent.
The animators probably had difficulty rendering anything more difficult than a disc and said, screw it, it's too hard, it's the last movie, no one will notice it anyway.
Next, Elise has a nightmare, and Derek and Odette rush in, wearing their day clothes. The Scullions were right, Odette doesn't sleep. And apparently neither does Derek.
Dry your eyes. Everything's alright. I am here to hold you.
Another song? That's the third one in about 6 minutes. And here I thought Frozen stacked their musical numbers close together.
The royal court decides to cheer Elise up by playing hide and seek.
Follow me.
Aww, the kid's learning to recognize incompetence. Despite her parents, she might turn out okay. John Bob's pointless subplot plays witness to the arrival of the Scullion army.
Frosting the snow.
Hey, Hans.
I feel like that joke should have been used in the Christmas special. Elise is kidnapped and flown away by these tiny squirrels.
A 5-ounce bird could not carry a 1-pound coconut.
Derek and Odette make it past most of the traps, but Mangler hits Derek with a poison dart, which could have potentially been fatal, if not for the introduction of a new character.
But I'll tell you one thing we can do right here, right now, and that's save lives.
In record time, I might add. Look at that. Look at those cheeks. Okay, I think it's coming back. I think he's gonna be okay. I am your loyal servant. What's on golly golly gum, what's on what bang?
I'll just call you Scully if you don't mind.
Scully also happens to possess this movie's MacGuffin, the stone that the Forbidden Arts needs to withstand Odette's presence and defeat her.
Elise gets locked up by the Forbidden Arts as bait, which gives her time to contemplate the intense counseling she's going to need from a couple days' worth of trauma. Meanwhile, the royal court is put on trial by the Scullions.
To the charges that Queen Uberta gave aid and comfort to the Swan Princess. Since the Swan Princess is not evil in the least degree, it follows ex post facto that Her Majesty is 100% innocent. Tell us in your own words how you know that the Swan Princess is indeed good.
Stolen technique. Well done, Rogers. Well done.
By now, Derek has Elise and he's on his way back here to rescue us.
That's a great way to treat your side characters. Literally filler with nothing to do but pad the screen time until the main heroes save the day.
Back with said heroes, they come up with a rescue plan. Distract the Scullions with Derek's body under a sleeping potion, find Elise, wake up Derek, and rescue her. And all the while, Odette protects the stone.
Questions, concerns, comments? Too late. That's the plan.
Boy, am I beat. I feel like I oh yeah, drank a sleeping potion.
Wow, you're only on step 1 of the plan, and already it's falling apart.
Up on the mountain? No, not that mountain. No, not that mountain either. This mountain over here. Scully takes a polyjuice potion, finds Elise under the guise of Mangler, and runs to tell the others. Unfortunately, the real Mangler recovers quickly and warns the arts.
Last time you left the cave, it took months for the crystal to restore your power.
Months? This movie has been happening over the course of months?
We are not finished.
I know why Killer Cloud wants the stone.
You too, huh?
So the question is, where is it?
Are you kidding me? Think about this logically. If he can't stand your presence, you should hold on to it yourself, Odette.
Why don't you signal your intentions?
That's brilliant.
No! It's not!
Derek is about to get a firing squad when Odette rushes into Scullion territory. Rather than being shot on sight, Odette gets a chance to speak.
I've never meant you any harm.
She's the evil Swan Princess.
There is an evil force, and he's called the Forbidden Arts.
Scully! If I was as evil and powerful as you've been led to believe, why haven't I attacked? My only power is that I love the girl.
Apparently, this quick exchange is enough to break their generation-long devotion to their carved rock. Well, that and a couple other things.
What did the old scullion mean about the Forbidden Arts? Whoa! Jojo! Jojo.
Let's be real here. The magic in these movies has never made a lick of sense. But how little sense it continues to make, it still astounds me. Our heroes have to hurry back to the castle to save our minor characters.
I must tell you something, my dear queen.
Oh?
I love you. What?
Yes?
Oh, I know it's socially inappropriate, perilously presumptive, and wrong. But...
3.
You love me too?
My ship has finally set sail!
Well, guess that's the end of that show.
Wow, took barely any discussion for this crew. For being so dedicated to their mission, they're surprisingly aloof about changing sides at the last minute.
Alright, men. We're aligning with our symbol of ultimate evil now. Let's get to it.
Odette and Scully climb the mountain to find Elise.
Hurry, Scully, come on!
No strength like a mother's love.
Well, of course, they did after all spend months developing that connection. But soon our heroes are held up by none other than Mangler! How did he get there already? He's faster than the hot air balloon from Swan Princess 2!
Now sit down, you. Somebody has been a very bad squirrel. Mangler! Ugh.
No! Scully!
He was the best of the Swan Princess characters. Though admittedly he didn't have a very high bar to meet. Odette tries freeing Elise, even though she could probably crawl through the holes in the rock, and the Forbidden Arts gets the glowing stone, prompting the final confrontation between good and evil. Well, what matters, Odette, is that you tried your best. On the bright side, Scully's alive!
How is Scully alive? He just barely fell off the cliff with Mangler 2 seconds ago. Is Mangler gonna come back too? Why don't they explain anything? Why doesn't the movie make any sense?
Ashley, this is the last movie. We can get through it.
Almost there. Done forever. We can do this. So even though a rock didn't work before, Scully jumps down with one to break the crystal, resulting in the Art's defeat as well as his own death. For real this time.
Mommy? Elise!
Aww, they have truly connected. I guess those months that they spent together finally paid off. Our film wraps up with Elise being adopted into the family.
Daddy, and Mom for Mom.
Rogers and Uberta's marriage getting put on permanent hold.
I make all the announcements.
Technically, as king,
You're not king yet, bub.
I announced that there will be no announcement. Ha!
I announce our wedding's on ice.
And a statue being built in commemoration to Scully. Which is a step up from the ending of the last movie, which just stroked the egos of Derek and Odette more.
I couldn't tell you what I was missing. I didn't know myself.
So that was The Swan Princess, A Royal Family Tale. We are finally at the end of the long dark tunnel that is this franchise. In contrast to The Swan Princess Christmas, which didn't have much going on for the first half hour, this movie has so many dumb things happening throughout the whole thing. It's hard to believe things could actually get worse for these movies, but they did. Some of the story concepts used are the most ridiculous yet, and the animation is absolutely terrible. I'll admit the characters have sort of hit equilibrium in stupidity at this point and haven't really gotten worse. But most of them continue to make bad decisions and remain either unlikable or completely forgettable, as well as remaining completely stagnant, none of them giving way to any development whatsoever. It's worthy to note that Odette was not turned into a swan in this movie. I guess they knew that for the past 3 movies they've been kind of stretching for good excuses to turn her into one.
But still, so many crimes against good movie making are committed by this one single film, which also served to retroactively lessen the other movies, especially the first one. Odette being the Swan Princess was not destiny. Rothbard chose that form as a way to imprison her. These 2 most recent movies have implied that Odette is magical in nature when she was only supposed to be a byproduct of magic. Furthermore, the Forbidden Arts was firmly established as a style of magic desired by the villain, a power discovered through study and learned through notes on how to harness it. Not a power granted by a generic cloud of sentient smoke. But if there's one compliment I can give, it's that this movie completely decimated the explicitly defined source of the Forbidden Arts, thus bringing us a happily ever after that we can finally use to close down this series.
And now we'll close out our coverage of this series the only way I know how. With plot holes. Starting with the one that retroactively affects the rest of the series.
If pure evil cannot exist in Odette's presence, how can the power of the Forbidden Arts have affected her in the previous movies?
The villains that used its power were evil, but not evil incarnate. As such, it worked because they merely channeled the power of the arts.
Why didn't Odette hold on to the glowing stone so that the Forbidden Arts couldn't get it?
It might have been considered possible that the stone, which allowed the Forbidden Arts to withstand Odette's presence, could cancel out the aura of goodness given off by Odette that would normally harm the arts. But given that the arts had to absorb the essence of the stone directly for that power to take effect, I think Odette keeping it closer to her would have been a more effective method of preventing that.
What was stopping the Scullion army from marching on the castle ages ago?
Jojo and Cutter expressed fear that the hunter, Derek, would come after them if their traps failed, so they probably feared retribution from the kingdom's own army. However,
the Scullion army's 1,000 strong, Princess.
An army of 1,000 nimble flying squirrels that know how to use weapons could easily tip the scales in their favor. Something the movie proves when they invade the castle and win.
You know, for all the stupidity we've had to wade through, doing these reviews hasn't been all bad. We've had some good times.
Some pretty good times, yeah.
I'm gonna miss doing this, boss.
Me too.
Ashley moved on after that review. She had already stuck it out for what felt like far longer than forever. 5 movies this franchise spanned. I don't think anyone, even Tyler, could have powered through these movies the way she did. For all the misery we went through together, in the end, I was happy, if only to have someone as awesome as her along for the ride.
What the heck?
Why didn't you disappear?
I don't know. We tied up all the loose ends, didn't we?
Of course we did. We just reviewed the last...
No. No. There cannot be more.
From the beloved family franchise.
Don't take my place. I'll be a princess tomorrow for the pirating game.
No. This is not happening. I refuse to acknowledge it.
I would be shocked, but I feel like shock itself has become inadequate to express how this makes me feel. But you know, on the bright side, you and I get to do more reviews together. I'm sure the fans will love that.
Yay. We love the fans.
Well, we could raise your taxes.
Huh?